I think it's safe to assume at this point that except President Donald Trump, no one really knows what President Trump wants from these tariff wars. One day the markets tank, they make headlines globally, everyone is worried, panic trading is going on, panic selling is going on. The very next day, markets globally rise, again making headlines. Yesterday night, Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariff for countries that had not retaliated against America with similar tariffs. However, China was an exception. China has now been slapped with 125% tariffs on its exports to the United States. Now, where does it leave the United States? Think about this. Apple manufactures in China. Apple ships from China to America. So Apple will be hit by the sanctions. Tim Cook at one point used to negotiate with Xi Jinping in Beijing. Now he'll be negotiating perhaps with Donald Trump in Washington. But this is the case with a lot of US companies. They manufacture in China. This is the byproduct of globalization, one would say. They now ship to America. Trump wants them to manufacture in America as well. But in the short term, their sales will be hit, their revenues will be hit, their stock prices will be hit, and therefore the Dow will be hit. What we saw yesterday, the green in the markets, was a sign of optimism that maybe cooler heads are prevailing. But in the long term, the headache is not gone away. 90-day break on tariffs still does not fix the problem. And where does it leave India? One picture that was surfacing on social media last evening was Indians eating popcorn while Chinese and Americans were beating the hell out of each other. I hope we do not make that mistake again. Indians need to understand that Americans and Chinese have a lot of friction when it comes to trade, when it comes to economic policies, intellectual property theft, dumping, and all those issues. There is Taiwan also in the long term that will become an issue at some point, a fault line rather, in the Pacific. So what should the Indians do right now? In the short term, they should think about increasing the trade with the United States. Don't think about customs. Yes, this government has been decreasing customs on a lot of products that are essential to Apple's manufacturing, for instance, in India. But the idea should be to increase trade between the US and India. Do not become another Vietnam for China, where Chinese dump the goods in India and then they are exported to America. Rather, Indians should take the lead, manufacture goods that can appeal to American consumerism. I think in the short term, no one really knows what will happen because Trump might just make another announcement later in the day. But in the long term, India should be clear. American and Chinese do not really get along ideally on economic trade as they used to get along in the 90s or 2000, even 2010s, 2030s, 2040s. We don't know. It will be a very different world. And this is the world India should prepare for by boosting its manufacturing prowess, by appealing to American consumerism, and by increasing the trade between India, America, India, Europe, and all over the world. That's all.